Yeah, I think that a lot of people are focused on the price, but the important thing to remember is fundamentals haven't changed. If you look at the technicals or the historical analysis, these bear markets continue to get deeper. We've had two of them previously, and this one looks like it could go down to $3,000, $3,500. But I don't think that people should be surprised if that happens, but it doesn't really change the historical outlook or the long-term outlook.
Okay, when you say long-term outlook, though, you are talking levels of 15 or 20, and what timeline are you talking about?
You know, we have very deep conviction on a long-term basis, and if you look at the fundamentals, so you know, the 24-hour transaction volume on the Bitcoin network is about $4.6 billion as of lately, and the market cap's $74 billion. So that's about a 16 times multiple of transaction volume for market cap. That's very similar to MasterCard, which does about $11 billion worth of transactions. It's valued at about $180 billion. So from a value perspective, it's right there on par with MasterCard. Now, with that said, this is still a nascent technology, right? It's only 10 years old, but it's been the best performing asset over the last 10 years. It's beaten stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities. And we tend to think that the public equity outlook over the next 10 years is somewhat bleak, anywhere between -3% to positive 3%. But we think that cryptos, specifically in the alternative space, can have multiples of that. And so we have that long-term outlook or positive sentiment.
You know, Anthony, many people are convinced certainly of the power of the blockchain and the fact that that as a technology is solid. I think the cryptocurrency, though, is something else altogether. And many people say it is a bubble at the levels you're indicating. Perhaps if we get to a market where we get down to 1,000, let's say, and then it trades between 1,000 and 3,000, that is what the fundamentals support, not what you're talking about.
Yeah, again, you know, there's a multitude of different ways to value this. I think that we really look at transaction volumes, right? So how much volume of activity, you know, people are actually using this on the network. And so that's that multiple I talk about that compares to MasterCard. The other piece of this, too, is I think that all of this has been driven by retail investors, right? There's been very few institutional investors in the space pre-2018. And we tend to think that the work done today is going to lay the groundwork for the price movements moving forward over the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, what is up, crypto junkies? You just saw that video clip. Speaking on BitPay, the CEO, Sunny, was talking a 20,000 price prediction in 2019. Sunny Singh? Sinal? I don't know. The GH, you know, and pronouncing it in Asia versus United States, you guys know already what the deal is with me and how bad I am at pronouncing names. I apologize. He was on Bloomberg TV recently talking about this. Not a lot of news for you today, but I got a few core pieces that I want to talk about. Let's headline hunt for just a second. Ledger has re-enabled Bitcoin Cash services to add accounts, send, etc. Major European crypto firm Bitfury partners with Russian Economics University to form Blockchain Project Accelerator and offer courses on the technology. Markets are down. Big surprise. They are still down. Yeah, that's it for the news. Okay, so we're looking at a market cap of 141 billion. BTC dominance 53%. We are in a big ass descending wedge, it would appear, over the last year, which is a good sign, because usually on a descending wedge, if it can break above, then it usually breaks above in a very erratic way, and usually you see big gains when that occurs. So I guess we'll continue to see as more and more unravels. Shot a couple interesting videos within the last day or so. Make sure you check all those out, talking about some different pieces of Bitcoin. I did Is Bitcoin Doomed? And then talking about the 1988 digital currency prediction in The Economist. Did a piece on that. All of that together, I think, is a lot of really great information to help you make more informed, better decisions. Okay, Indian police filed charges against the masterminds of a $60 million Bitcoin scam. It was called Amaze Mining and Blockchain Research. And so apparently 3 of these guys were doing this, collected a lot of money, $1.4 million, and they were doing mining, promising a certain return. Sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it? It all came crashing down March of last year. Most of them, all but one, were in custody, and recently they just grabbed the last one. So I believe that they'll now do a round robin in probably a couple different countries. That's what's going to be the most interesting part to me, is how they do cross-country jurisdiction and charging for these different crimes. Because, okay, you do a mining scam out of India, so obviously India is going to get you, but what about all the countries of the people that were affected? Like, what are their repercussions? So it'll be interesting to see. And the last piece I wanted to share share with you is Kelvin Ayre has officially come out and started talking about the Bitcoin Cash hash war. I love how so delusional, still calling it Bitcoin. I call on all exchanges, wallets, payment processors to work with us on this win-win settlement plan. Do not do this. If you back down on all the things you said, you'll have no integrity left, not in my eyes anyways, and I'm sure in the eyes of many other people. If you can't keep your word, you have no integrity left, so you better make sure only one chain survives. Very interesting stuff still going on with all of this. This is essentially the stance that he's taking for CoinGeek, that making sure that there was a version of the original Bitcoin still able to show off its original economic design genius to the world. Bitcoin was born with a mature economic model, and platform developers have consistently tinkered it to death, first by forking to SegWit BTC, and now ABC has abandoned Bitcoin Core's principles by abandoning Nakamoto's consensus and trust in miners' proof of work. This is fine for them to test their thinking, but not by killing Bitcoin before it's even tested properly, so we stepped in. It is CoinGeek's opinion that the two chains are now so far apart and have such divergent plans ahead that there is just no path back to joining them. We also no longer want the name Bitcoin Cash, as to us, Bitcoin SV is the original Bitcoin, not the original Bitcoin Cash, whatever that even means. We understand that having nChain no longer fighting with them over roadmaps was the single most important issue to the ABC side. nChain tells me they are happy to leave ABC chain alone if they enact replay protection and do a permanent split. This is very convenient, as the definition of winning is fundamentally different to each side, so there is a win-win solution here. From where CoinGeek sits right now, us permanently splitting the chains by ABC enacting replay protection will give both sides a win. Bitcoin will live on with Bitcoin SV and will finally have the chance to show off the true power of the original economic model. Similarly, ABC can join with the rest of the new chain coin models to demonstrate what they believe they can do. The models can then all compete in the marketplace, and this lets actual users vote with their actions. What's interesting to me is that, like, this whole thing, if you haven't been following along in the crypto space for very long, you have no idea what the is actually going on. You're thinking that Bitcoin SV is the actual real Bitcoin, when BTC ticker Bitcoin is Bitcoin. So this is really fascinating that it's like so delusionally deep in the model of what they believe to be true, that what they don't realize is what they're actually saying is insanely confusing to people who aren't closely, intimately following along. Like, look at this statement: Bitcoin will live on with Bitcoin SV and finally have a chance to show off its true power. So that would assume that Kelvin's and Dr. Craig Wright's vision of Bitcoin Cash now is Bitcoin SV is the true, that's what he's saying with a statement like this. CoinGeek is run by Kelvin Ayre, if you didn't know already. Just interesting the complexity that continues to happen with, like, grown men acting like kids about a popularity contest and what they believe to be true. Too big of egos to all sit down and work it out with not only the Bitcoin Cash team, but really the overall crypto market. Like, Craig Wright has never been open and accepting and nice to anyone. Like, you don't need to be nice, but to be overly such a cunt with everything you do and everything you say, it's just like, it wears people's patience out. Like, and then at the end of the day, nobody likes you. And again, it's not a liking contest, but in this game, sugar goes a lot further than salt. And what I've consistently seen now over the last year or so is that, like, okay, if it continues this way, look at how much it's degraded over the last year. Working partnership, nChain, Kelvin, Craig, Jihan, Roger Ver, all happy, all working together, split sides. So we can expect the same in, 12 months or less again, right? If this trajectory continues. Another split, another falling out, another this, another that, more inflated egos, more hurt feelings, more blah, blah, blah. So it's just interesting to watch, and not at all what I envision for the crypto space, what I think a lot of people envision for the crypto space. It's as simple as that. Okay, let's end it with a couple more pieces of news. Patrick Brine, founder and CEO of US retail giant Overstock, is planning to sell the retail arm of his company and focus on blockchain by early next year. The German Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy is planning to fight tax evasion schemes by using blockchain. National Assembly of Venezuela adopts crypto legislation and amendments to AML law that allow local exchanges to trade Petro on a global scale. The Petros thing is really interesting. I haven't decided if I want to crack into that. I've actually heard from some people on the ground living through the reality of Venezuela that there in fact is no blockchain, there is no Petro coin, and it's a big fugazi, which is masking this much bigger concept, much bigger thing that they're doing, an agenda that they have. I think I'll leave it there for now and decide if I want to go into this one any deeper. That's all we've got for now. That is the crypto news, my friends. If you like this video, just show some support. Click the like button. That would be amazing. And if you're brand new to the channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. And if you want to interact with us, place a comment below. I read, I'd say 70, 80% of them. And that's it for now, guys. Okay, bye.